Hello, welcome back to Sparrow Binges. Today's recommendations are also reminders and opportunities for you, me, us to learn and unlearn. Today's selections range from personal intimate experiences, observations, issues which are deep ingrained in society, prevalent. These films are a small step towards making ourselves aware, unlearning, and learning. First up, I would like to begin with Swallow. Swallow is a 2019 film written and directed by Carlo Mirabella Davis. The film premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival 2019, where it garnered wide attention, won awards for Best Screenplay, Special Mention, and Best Actress. You can currently watch the film on Mubi. Swallow follows the life of Hunter, played by Haley Bennett, who's also the executive producer of the film. We see Hunter trying to navigate her marriage, her domestic life with her partner Richard played by Richard Stahl. There are several instances and circumstances in the film which make us aware of the different lifestyle which Richard and Hunter have had. While Richard was born into a wealthy family, is transitioning into taking over the reins of his father's business empire, Hunter was born into a middle class family and met Richard while working at a retail store. The house which Hunter and Richard live in is this enormous, spacious bungalow aloof from the city, surrounded by trees. I would like to ascertain that the vastness of this bungalow house is equal to the emotional distance between the couple, which is very much evident from the beginning of the film. Also, we can see how Hunter is trying to blend in, be perfect, and be grateful for the life which she has now, and she voices this sentiment quite often in the film. The family interaction scenes with Richard's parents make us realize that Hunter's position is more of a namesake, and her voice is almost always ignored or subdued. Both Richard and his parents are trying to groom and mold Hunter into this perfect picture of a Conrad family. We sense that things are going to go downhill as Hunter's past dawns upon her and she starts consuming inedible objects, finding a sense of control in it. As the narrative progresses, we are made to realize and made aware of why the events unfolding are happening and the cause of it. I would not want to disclose the particular instances, events, or the illness surfacing, but the nature of trauma and the aftermath and its consequences are unnerving and jolting. Haley Bennett's essaying of this particular role shakes us, and rightly so, as the issues portrayed and instances shown are traumatizing, representative of the assumption of power it's exercising, and the nature of trauma, guilt, which is passed down from generation to generation, and who it is borne by in the present. As the film moves along, we see that Hunter is pregnant. This sort of becomes a turning point in the film as it brings forth more attention from Richard and his parents. We also see that there's an instance where Richard takes advantage of his power and resources and finds Hunter at a very vulnerable position with her session at her counselor. There are very visible indications of how Hunter feels sort of entrapped and helpless and submissive in this vast space she calls home. The grandeur and the emptiness of the frames makes her emotions only seem so much more louder. Whatever is revealed about Hunter's family, her past, makes us feel overwhelmed. The scenes depicting Hunter swallowing those inedible objects embody the helplessness, trauma, and the burden which she still carries in the present, and how clearly she deals with it. As the film comes to an end, there's a confrontation scene which puts us on an edge. The way it pans out, how it initiates and it concludes, it just took me aback. Also, the film is inspired from what the director saw while growing up. He draws on his memories, perception of patriarchy, understand of his surroundings, understandings of personhood, womanhood, expression, control over one's body. Up next, we have The Booth, a 2019 Indian short film directed by Rohin Ravindran. This short film garnered wide praise from the critics and is currently available on Mubi for you to watch. The Booth is filmed at a mall in Pune, and as the title suggests, the crux heart of the story lies in the small security frisking booth at the entrance of the mall. This compelling short film portrays the possibilities, limitations, and nuances of a same-sex relationship in our society. There are carefully crafted scenes relying on small details which shed light on the gaze of the camera, society, and of course the politics of physical space. The film has a stellar cast where Rekha is played by Amruta Subhash and Sargam is played by Parna Pethe. The film begins with Rekha setting up this booth. Now, this setting of the booth is very important, as to me it signifies a small bubble but in a very public space. The mall is a setting where people from different walks of life, different stratas of life, all sort of come together and are witness to each other's physical movements. In the first glance, we can ascertain that Rekha has sort of developed a routine of her own, and also we see that she is a bit aloof in that crowded space. As Sargam enters, we see that they share few moments of love, and there's this electric energy on screen, their chemistry, but also there's a sense of hurriness, nervousness, excitement, all wrapped into one. To me, it also is significant how their love is hidden away from the world and it's behind those curtains, and they are in that space for only those very few moments, and in a way they can't step out of the curtain as they are inside. Also, there are instances to show that Rekha is visibly older, and also her phone wallpaper is of her husband and her son, while Sargam is younger and is presumably pursuing accounts, as her college textbooks show. There are small details and circumstances in the film which tie the narrative together. For instance, when we see Rekha giving Sargam her tiffin, them sharing texts and just talking, we can ascertain that a sufficient time has passed for them to develop an understanding and perceive each other's emotions. There are moments when we can see the sense of longing, despair, and sadness in both the characters. While Rekha seems a bit aloof, she is going on with her job. Sargam is trying to while away her time at the mall, but also is eagerly waiting to meet Rekha. There's this sense of longing in Sargam. There's also a very well-timed interjection at one of those interactive events in the mall when Sargam sings. Now, when you hear the song, you'd be surprised, and you'd be pleasantly surprised to see how well the lyrics of the song fit into the narrative. In the few moments that we see Rekha and Sargam together, we can see an array of emotions from longing, despair, confusion, nervousness, excitement, love, but above all, how it's a safe haven for the two of them. At a particular point in the film, we see how a man is slyly recording Sargam, who is standing at a distance from him. This injects the idea of how occupying a public space is a very different experience for a man and a woman, and it just sparks off immediate disgust and rage. On the other hand, we see how a woman expresses suspicion and discomfort when Rekha is checking her at the booth. Towards the end, we see a moment of embrace between Rekha and Sargam, and it just evokes a sense of just being and freedom. Before the film wraps up, we see Sargam leaving, but this is through the CCTV lens. This sort of sparks off the idea of how our actions are monitored by people or institutions. The film ends on an open-ended note, and it sort of leaves us to sit with our feelings, ponder what is in store for Rekha and Sargam. Above all, The Booth is a beautiful, powerful short film with love and longing at its core. Our third suggestion for today is Counterfeit Kunku, a short film written, directed and edited by Reema Sen Gupta. The film premiered at the Sundance Film Festival 2018 and was the only film from India in that category. The film won at the Brooklyn Film Festival and also at the Vancouver International Women in Films. The film is currently available on Nowness Asia for you to watch. The film is based on the director's intimate personal experience, observation, and is also a much needed voice on the particular narrative. The film begins with Smita, played by Kaniko Sruti, who is instructed to fill out a hospital record form but needs her husband's signature. Her husband is played by Vijay Varma, who essays the role of Sunil Nikam. As we see the two of them together in the first glimpse, we can ascertain how uncomfortable and detached Smita is. Her husband is seen taunting her as to why she's not worn ornaments which sort of indicate that she is a married woman, like a Mangal Sutra and Sindoor. This film is a struggle and representation of the daily life of Smita, who is trying to get a house of her own, but the only prick in the eyes of society and the real estate agents is that she is not with her husband or accompanied by her husband in spite of being financially independent. As the film progresses, we have glaring facts come to the forefront: the nature of domestic abuse at Smita's home, marital rape, and how her voice is overpowered, subdued in front of the housing estate officials. We are also made aware of the bitter truth that she cannot turn to her mother or her parents' residence. That is very apparent from the one phone call she shares with her mother. Each attempt of Smita to get a roof over her head is overpowered by the messy housing system and the hustle and bustle of Bombay. She is presented with excuses like it's not permissible in the society, you're not accompanied by a husband, it's just not allowed, and she just feels defeated. All till she adorns the seemingly identifications of a married woman, which is a sindoor and a Mangal Sutra, and presents herself in an ideal fashion in front of the tent, in front of the housing estate officials. It is also to be noted that the housing estate officials were all non-actors, and the additional actors in the film were all part of the community and opened up their homes for the filming of this film. The few dialogues in the film spoke true, bold language, and the powerful visuals of the film gave us an indication of the blatant misogyny which is present around us. The seemingly small moments of everyday life, which are layered with barriers of caste, sex, gender, socioeconomic status, geography, and the overarching ill of patriarchy. This film also spoke to me of the fight for one's voice, freedom, and the basic necessities of life. The film shed light on the devastating social injustice, inequality present around us, shackles of patriarchy, and the effort to try to break out of it in whatever way one can. Please do watch this powerful short film. This brings us to the last film for today, Juice, a 2017 short film directed by Neeraj Gyavan. This almost 15-minute film will make you ponder over your immediate physical places, surroundings, environment. The film is currently available on YouTube for you to watch. The film begins with viewers hearing banters, conversations, which is presumably at a house party, at a gathering, and the opening visual is of all the men seated being served snacks, and it is the women who are serving them. We have Shefali Shah in the lead, whose essaying of a housewife will give us an acute sense of the engraved patriarchy which the film is trying to address, and it successfully does so. There are conversations about work, children, arranged marriage, love marriage, independence, family, all of which is happening in the kitchen, and we can see how Manju, played by Shefali Shah, is visibly sad and despaired when we hear talks of leaving work, quitting work to take care of the household. She's seen as this voice of fight who is posing questions which we all think of but don't always address them or do so vocally. We also have other women present in the scene who are dealing with their own issues, be it not wanting to quit work to take care of the household, bearing children, not wanting to bear children, or just the fact that the onus of taking care of a household falls upon just the mother or the wife. It is important to bring up the point that how these questions are being spoken of or talked, the conversations are happening in the kitchen, which is an important physical space that also denotes authority, power, in terms and all in relation with a certain submissiveness, and also who is cooking, who is serving food. There is also an instance of giving tea to the house help, but how it pans out and what happens before and after that, it just clearly indicates the caste and class difference in a household. While the men are seated in the living room and they're speaking and talking of all matters in the world, but also of how they see women, especially in positions of power. The visuals are so powerful on screen, and especially how the last few minutes pan out. But in hindsight, it's not unseen of or unheard of or uncommon. But when we see it on screen and raw, and how actually these conversations play out, you can't help but feel a sense of rage in you. I was in awe in the last few minutes of the film and the action which Manju takes. Just seeing that it was a kind of a pushback or an answer to the constant submission which is exercised by all. Please do take time out and watch this powerful short film for all the moments it creates and what it brings to the forefront. This brings us to the end of today's episodes. I hope you liked our suggestions. Please do take time out and watch these films. Thank you for your time. If you liked this video, please do hit the bell icon, subscribe to the Red Sparrow, and never miss out on interesting curations.